Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we are in a new work-in-progress scene that has been something that has been on my mind for a while. It's been requested a number of times, and that is a range configured in line with the sort of standard U.S. Army qualification for rifle and for carbine. And so, yeah, this was requested yet again by someone on the subreddit this past week, and it just got an itch in my brain. I had started sort of sketching this out a while back and had just decided to, this week, move it, arm swinger jump, forward. So what is that? So this is basically a 16 lane. I decided to actually just do it at full scale regulation rifle qualification range. Turns out there are a lot of publicly available documents involving the exact measurements and specifications of this sort of thing, and those documents are very long. So if we run out here to see what we are actually shooting at, this is a standard E-type target that actually has, this is a measurement accurate berm for this type of range. And these are, I believe these are made out of some sort of self-healing plastic that is good for, I think they said something like 5,000 rounds. So they get hit, they knock back. We have Ole modeled these all to specifications. So we've got an E-type and an F-type, which I think represents someone who is prone. I'm going to eventually make it so you can swap them out. And we have going back in 50 meter increments, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. And at the 16 lanes, the interesting thing about this layout is that they sort of alternate left-handed and right-handed orientation. And there are ranging markers for each 2 lanes. So folks have reference. So turns out this is way harder to do off of irons than I ever knew. Oh, and importantly, for those of you who don't have context, the way these ranges are typically used is there's a sequence of targets that are done. You're given, I believe it's 4 10-round magazines, and you have to hit all of these targets. I think you need like 21 out of 40 hits to pass, if memory serves. Let's go ahead and pull out something fun to shoot with. Let's just go with a classic M16 A4. So we can shoot off of irons, and you can all laugh at Anton attempt to hit things off of irons. Now, my understanding with this sequence, using this quote-unquote properly, is that we would be transitioning between a prone position, you're allowed to use a sandbag, and then, supported kneeling, and then supported or unsupported standing. I don't have the sequence memorized yet, but in all of the video that I've looked up, typically some sort of multi-stage supported barrier is provided like this, as well as a sandbag, so I wanted to actually put that in there, so this would be useful for folks to practice with. So let's go ahead and see if we can actually hit everything here. I was able to do this seated. Oh, this is one of those instances where we likely want to actually swap to the narrower aperture, which this is going to totally push the resolution of my headset, but we're going to try this anyway. So that was 50. That's 100. Let's go for the 150. That's 150. I was doing this seated earlier, which is, cheating. It's so much easier because the stability you get. That was 200. First shot. Let's try 250. Nope. Woo! There we go. 250. Let's do the 300. Boom! 300. I don't think with that with that hit ratio we would be passing our qualifications. But hey, it's pretty difficult off of irons. It wasn't actually clear to me when I was looking up this stuff if it's all off of irons or if you're able to use any other sort of optic with it. In the video that I watched for putting this together, I saw some soldiers firing off of iron, some firing with a scope. Obviously, with a scope, this becomes a completely different situation. Let's crank that magnification up. And so this way you folks can actually see the target pop up and down when I shoot at it. So these are just set right now for sort of open shooting. But my plans for this is similar to the way that the indoor range and the sniper range have a control object that is next to you. When you just step up to one of these, it will teleport that directly to the closest one, and you'll be able to configure how this specific lane works. So you can have it in terms of open shoot like this, but I'm also going to program in the exact sequence that is typically used for rifle qualification in this sequence. Basically what it does is once again, for those of you who don't have literacy in this, it basically presents between 1 and 3 targets at a time, and there's a certain amount of time that you have to strike all of those targets. Then they go down, there's a half-second break, and then the next set of between 1 to 3 present themselves. And obviously you're given more time to hit the ones that are further away. So I'm going to have that in as a program sequence, and I will probably program a couple other sequences myself. For those of you who know this stuff better than I do because, you know, you're in the service or you've shot in this sort of context, I would love to know if there's some other sequences given 50 to 300 in increments, if would be appropriate for this type of range, be enjoyable, etc. Because I would love to have a couple other presets, and if there aren't real world analogs for them, I'll just put in a bunch more of my own. So yeah. Oh, that was unforgivable to miss that magnified. Wonderful. So much easier out of a scope, obviously. So yeah, and then the last thing about this scene that I want to work on is a bunch of you, back when I had been showing the various sorts of prototype scenes for the Contract Griller prototype, one of those had been an outdoor range, and one of the things that I had coded some functionality for was the ability to have allied SOSIGs around in an environment with you without them like reacting like, oh my gosh, your gun is going off. Just going about some things. And so what I would like to do is have some options in the same way that like the snow globe scene just has ambient SOSIGs walking around. I would love to have other SOSIGs in this scene by default utilizing this range. And so I'm going to rig up something for them to be at some of the other firing stations, just so that this scene has some life to it, to justify the fact that there's actually 16 lanes in here. And obviously, if you find that annoying and like to turn it off, you'll be able to just despawn those directly from the same control panel that you're going to control the targets with. But yeah, it's been a thing in my head that I've wanted to have some ambience, sort of other ambient entities in a scene, and I think something like this would be perfect for that. So yeah, let me know what you think. If there's anything else, especially those of you who know this subject material better than I do, that you think should be present here, either in terms of core affordance, tools, or ways to customize the exact target behavior. The other thing is there's going to be, I know with this range, typically at the 25 meter mark, there are also target standees with a sort of standardized zeroing target. I looked that up, I sized the target correctly, I just didn't get them in for today, but those will also be able to be targeted as well. I know the purpose of those targets, I think, is actually like in just actually zeroing your rifle. So that'll all be in here and available as an option as well. So yeah. Anywho, that is what I got for you this week. I don't have a build this week because I'm still working on this, but you will be able to jump into this scene with a bunch more things in it next week. So I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Peace.